that is erythema multiforme, very often asked in long question. You must have read about it in detail, but we'll quickly revise the points that you should remember. It is named erythema because there is redness, multiforme because there are presence of multiple types of lesions. So there could be vesicle, bulla, ulcerations, macules, and has two clinical forms, erythema multiforme simplex and erythema multiforme complex. The very characteristic onset it has an explosive onset, so like a bomb it comes, sudden and very severe, okay? And physiology is, it is caused by deposition of immune complexes in superficial vasculature of skin and mucosa. So that describes why that erythema. However, known causes are not known there, but it could be secondary to certain drugs which are administered, sometimes in HCV infections and all that. Okay, so what are the symptoms and signs? Symptoms are appearance of rash and painful bleeding blisters, fever and malaise. Oral environment is also very painful. Signs, in cases of simplex, there could be maculopapular rash on the skin and characteristic target lesions. In case of complex, these rashes are very, very severe, and there is severe vesiculobullous involvement of skin, oral mucosa and genitalia also, and then it is called Stevens-Johnson's syndrome. So there are two characteristic features that you have to remember and which will help you in differentiating erythema multiforme from other acute lesions. First is the bullseye, target or the iris lesion. These are very, very characteristic. And the second, if oral involvement is there, it is the bloody incrustation of lips. So two B's, bullseye and bloody incrustation, characteristic feature. Another thing that you have to remember is the severe denudation of mucosa and skin. If it occurs, that is known as TEN or toxic epidermal necrolysis. How do you manage? So symptomatic relief, 5% lignocaine or benzidamine can be given. Topical steroids, Canacort, triamcinolone acetonide in ORA base can be given for oral lesions. You have to give the supportive treatment, soft, liquid, high protein diet and IV fluids. And short-term, high-dose systemic steroids can be given. Now, again, you remember, generally, systemic steroids are very long-term. In erythema multiforme, short-term, high-dose systemic steroids can be given. Prednisolone, 20 mg tablet twice a day for 5 days, or betamethasone, 0.5 mg tablet thrice daily for 5 days. All right? Now, coming to the next, that is the recurrent aphthous stomatitis. This is a very simple, very common lesion, but is also very commonly asked in examination. So I'll just rush through some points that you must remember. Aphtha in aphthous stands for whitish. So aphthous, ulceration. These are characteristically well-defined ulcerations which are surrounded by erythematous halo. There are three clinical forms, minor, major and herpetiform. Another question, quite a favorite of examiner, major RAS is also known as Sutton's disease or a tongue twister, periodontitis mucosa, necrotica recurrence, if you can remember it. So rather than going through the clinical features of each one of this, I have made a table for your quick revision. So gender predilection is same in minor and major form. Herpetiform is more commonly seen in females. And age of onsets, you can see it is different. Number of ulcers is about 1 to 4 in minor. Major is usually single, whereas herpetiform it's multiple, so about 10 to 100. The size of ulcer is less than 1 centimeter in minor, greater than 1 centimeter in major, and herpetiform a small pinpoint, herpetiform. So they resemble herpetic ulcerations. So they are smaller, 1 to 3 mm. They are self-healing in nature, and site predilection, as you can see in the table, they generally occur on the movable mucosa. Another very important question which is very, very commonly asked in exam is how will you differentiate between recurrent aphthous ulcer and recurrent herpetic stomatitis? Very important, I have marked it with double asterisk. So wide range of age in recurrent aphthous ulcer, herpetic stomatitis more common in middle and older age. Remember the site, very important. It is mobile, non-keratinized mucosa in recurrent aphthous, whereas it is the vermilion border of lips in case of herpes labialis, and non-mobile keratinized mucosa in RIHS, recurrent intraoral herpes stomatitis. So very important point to remember. Initial lesions you can see here. The mature lesions, aphthous ulcers are shallow and the size you can see. Yellow necrotic centers will be there with a red halo, whereas recurrent herpetic stomatitis, many ulcers coalesce together to form large lesions, so they will have irregular margins. So this is another important question we covered. Okay. Then how will you manage? You all must be knowing, many of you must be experiencing this also during exam because of stress. So you have to identify and eliminate if any predisposing factor. Symptomatic relief can be given, topical steroids can be given, and another thing that you have to remember is that you can give tetracycline mouthwash in cases of herpetiform recurrent aphthous stomatitis. So remember, tetracycline mouthwash, herpetiform RAS. Okay, then coming to ANAC, that is acute necrotizing ulcerative gingivitis. I'm sure perio people also must have taken this. So we'll quickly run through the points to remember. It is also known as Vincent's infection or trench mouth. It involves the free gingival margin, crest of gingiva, and interdental papilla. The causative agents are Fusobacterium nucleatum and Borrelia vincenti. Trigger factors could be a lot many things. So stress, recent illness, smoking, immunosuppression, etc. could trigger it. So clinical features most commonly in young and middle-aged. Symptoms are sudden onset with pain, tenderness, salivation is increased, spontaneous bleeding could occur from gingival tissue, characteristically loss of sense of taste, and a typical fetid odor, which is very unpleasant to the patients. What are the signs? Slight mobility and apparent extrusion of the teeth, and the red ones that you have to remember. And NUG, necrotizing, so necrosis happens, so there's a necrotic pseudomembrane which is grayish green in color, which is formed, and ulcerative, the ulcers are typically present as a punched out crater-like erosions in interdental papilla. So these two features you have to remember, and they are associated with regional lymphadenopathy. How do you treat ANAC? So different phases is there. What are our aims? You have to see. First is control of bacteria phase. So you can do local debridement. You can use antibiotics both for the gram-positive and gram-negative bacteria. So amoxicillin and metronidazole. Some painkillers like paracetamol, and antipyretic could be added. And very importantly, 2% hydrogen peroxide mouthwash can be used, which helps in sloughing of the necrosis. Second is elimination of local and systemic predisposing factors, so scaling and root planing to remove local irritants, periodontal surgery and rinsing, patient education and counseling about habits and proper oral hygiene could be done. Now the last lesion from UVB, pemphigus. You all know it is potentially fatal chronic vesiculobullous disease. Two forms affect the oral cavity the most. Pemphigus vulgaris and pemphigus vegetans. It occurs in 40 to 60 years age group. The etiopathogenesis is important. Now this happens because there is an autoimmune response against desmoglein, or the material which attaches to cells, so intercellular substances. This causes separation of them, or what is called acantholysis, and there is formation of intraepithelial bulla, which quickly bursts and causes large erosions. So what are the symptoms? There could be chronic multiple blistering of skin. Oral symptoms could be denudation of mucosa, burning sensation, and difficulty in chewing and swallowing. So signs are multiple thin-walled bulla. Generally we don't see it because it ruptures very fast. Remember, it shows Nikolsky sign. Nikolsky sign has two aspects. Application of pressure on unaffected skin or mucosa causes bulla formation, or application of pressure on intact bulla causes lateral spread. So remember these two aspects. Remember Nikolsky sign. It is asked in SAQ and MCQ, of course. Diagnosis, histopathologically you can see the Zank cells, and immunofluorescence studies are also very important to differentiate it from pemphigoid and all. And you can see the antigen-antibody reaction along the prickle cell layer of epithelium. Management is again long duration systemic steroids, immunosuppressants, antimicrobials, oral lesions, and fluid replacement. So commonly asked GDs. Now listen carefully. These are the questions which are very commonly asked, especially in SAQ and Viva also. So I have just gone through the previous year question papers and made a list for you. So between acute herpetic gingival stomatitis and ANAC, between erythema multiforme and allergic stomatitis, RAS and RIHs, which we already covered, between pemphigus and erosive lichen planus, between erythema multiforme and RAS, and primary herpetic gingival stomatitis and herpangina. Many of them I covered, many of them you can easily write because you know the clinical features. There are some good to know terminologies also which you should know, many times asked in MCQs and sometimes asked in Viva. Patch test, Pethergy test, what is herpetic whitlow, cytomegalovirus infection, use of corticosteroids in UVB lesions, indication and contraindication, zoster sine herpeti, post-herpetic neuralgia, stomatitis veniata and medicamentosa, 10, NUP, necrotizing ulcerative periodontitis, Crohn's disease, Becher syndrome, cold sores, paraneoplastic pemphigus, and pemphigoid. So these are the terminologies. When you are revising, quickly revise them from the book. You should know what they are. Generally, they will not come. Apart from patch test, nothing has come as a short question yet. Okay. Coming to oral manifestations of HIV, which is again very commonly asked, and I'm sure all the subjects have taught you this. But just for the revision, there are some more common diseases and some less common diseases. More common diseases include infections in this fungal, viral, and bacterial. The ones which are marked in the red are kind of pathognomonic for HIV infection. So pseudomembranous candidiasis in viral infection, fulminant infection. So the severity is more in case of HIV. So you will see herpes simplex, varicella zoster, EB virus infection, including hairy leukoplakia. Remember, hairy leukoplakia is not a leukoplakia, it is an infection and is associated with HIV. Bacterial infection, HIV associated gingivitis and periodontitis, necrotizing gingivitis. Tumors, remember Kaposi sarcoma, short notes has been asked. So Kaposi sarcoma is there, and then persistent lymphadenopathy. These are the more common diseases. Less common diseases include infections like deep mycotic lesions, cryptococcosis, histoplasmosis, viral, HPV and cytomegalovirus, Mycobacterium tuberculosis and Klebsiella infection in bacterial infection. Non-Hodgkin's lymphoma is a less commonly found oral manifestation of HIV. And then neurological diseases, paresthesia, facial palsy and dysphagia. There are miscellaneous manifestation of HIV which include recurrent apathy, progressive necrotizing ulceration, delayed wound healing, purpura and pigmentation.